Hey, Wes here, Airstream Wanderings. Thanks for joining me today. Just recently went to the home building store, got a bunch of bricks and a bucket. I have my portable fire ring here and decided I'm going to build one of these portable urban kilns. So I'll show you how I'm going to do it. I've never done it before. I'll also show or share with you all the costs associated with it, and we'll see if it works. If that interests you, please come along. Well, given my situation, I need to have this all fit in my fire ring, and it has a couple of issues with it. One is doesn't have a flat bottom in it, and so I need to make this as flat as I can. And what I did on the bottom are a number of fire grates that I've kind of positioned to level it out as best I can. The other thing is that because it's kind of this big shallow pan, it kind of restricts airflow, and so I've built this up as much as I reasonably can to get good air to go through it. And then I've used these fire grates. These are coming from a barbecues, and I picked them up at a landfill, so I didn't have to pay anything for those. The bricks, I had to pay 48 cents a piece plus tax. So what I will do, and I'll show you, is I'm going to put charcoal down on the bottom. I will then add the bucket. The pottery will be on the inside, and then I'll stack it up. I'll show you how that goes. I purchased lump charcoal, and it is definitely more expensive than regular charcoal, but I understand that it burns hotter. So this costs a little less than $1 a pound, and we'll measure how many pounds this takes. I think regular charcoal, maybe 3/4 that price, maybe half that price. So we'll see how this works. Now the other thing, again, I'm not an expert on this, so that's part of what I do on this channel, is just experiment with stuff. I've placed these bricks with gaps here, so I want a fair amount of air to circulate. I don't want anything to restrict the burning of this charcoal. I am going to fill in with some regular charcoal as well. That's good enough for now, and we'll put the pots in next. These pots have been in the oven inside, not so much to heat up, but to make sure that they're dry. This whole fire ought to start fairly slowly, and so it's not as robust a fire as some, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue for preheating. Making sure your pots are dry is important. Okay, with this pot, or the pail, I did a couple things. I put a hole in the top. Two reasons. One, for air circulation. Also, hopefully I can use my thermometer and look down inside and see how hot the pots are. I also built a fire in this thing in advance. It's a galvanized pot, I think. And so I think there's some nasty chemicals that you want to burn off. So that's something to be careful. And hopefully it all fits. Kind of a tight fit, but it should work. There we go. I think that's going to be okay. So then the goal is to build some bricks around the inside, leaving space for charcoal. I want to fill all of this up as best I can. I don't want any dead spaces in there. At this point I have 5 courses of brick. Tony Soares does a nice video on this, and so did Andy Ward. Tony suggested putting a sherd over the hole so we don't get charcoal that drops down in there, and I'll probably take that off later. And then I have one more course available, and I think that'll be plenty. And I'm trying to close it up a little bit. In general, I would say that I've got about 2 inches of space between the bricks and the bucket. So this particular bag has 17.6 pounds in it. It's quite a bit. I don't know if I'll need to add some more. This will burn down, I'm sure. So I think it's about ready to go. My plan is to light it from the top and from the bottom both and have it, maybe the two sides meet. So it's going to burn quite a while. I put some paper with lighter fluid on the bottom, put a little bit on the top. There we go. All right, it is now 10 minutes after 11, and let's keep an eye on this. I think it's going to burn for a couple hours at least. The nice thing about this is the charcoal starts off kind of slowly, and so it will slowly heat up the pots as well. In the event I have a real problem, it all falls over, I've got my fire hose. You can see that it's burning pretty good down below, but it was a slow start on the top. I've added some wood to it, and I don't know if that's a problem or not. Some just start the fire from the top and let it burn down. The fire's been going for about an hour and a half, and so I can see down inside of the pot, and I've got my, you probably can't see this, but it's right around 1430 degrees in there. Not as hot as I was expecting, but certainly hot enough to fire pottery. I've added some additional charcoal to the top. I don't know if that's necessarily a good idea. I would imagine most of this heat just goes out of the top and doesn't contribute much to the overall firing. But that's what I did. All right, the fire has been going close to 2.5 hours. Coals have burned down quite a bit. There's still a lot of heat going on. I know that I hit at least 1500 degrees. I think it's probably even hotter down towards the bottom, so we'll see about that. And I'm just going to let it go now. These bricks are still hot. The ones on top on the outside are still like 350 degrees or so. The ones on the bottom as much as 800 degrees on the outside of the brick. So there is a lot of heat that's been absorbed in this thing. Well, it's been 7 hours since I started this fire, and that's one of the downsides of this, is you have to wait. Normally with a surface fire, you're done and handling your pots in an hour. So it's time to take this thing apart. Well, this is always the fun part, to see what you end up with. Maybe it's a disaster, or maybe it's gory, who knows. Let's see what we have here. Let's see if it rings or not. Wow, that's great. It's interesting on the back side, it's not orange, but I'm definitely happy with that. That looks great. And here's a bigger pot. And let's see again whether it rings like a bell. And I tell you, this is the nicest firing I have ever had. It's not exactly authentic, but if you're looking for outcome, this is absolutely the way to go. So it's been a great day, really good day. Not only is this a good way to fire pots, you get good outcomes, it's really reasonable cost-wise. These bricks, I have 32 of them, 48 cents a piece plus some tax. So we're talking $16, $17, something like that for the bricks, and none of them cracked. They seem like they'll last a while, and these are just ordinary paver bricks. There's nothing special about these. Then I had to buy the bucket, which is in pretty tough shape actually. I think it cost about $20, but I'll show the price here. I'll be able to use it a few times, but it's not very heavy duty, so that's going to have to be replaced. I used about somewhere between 15 and 20 pounds of charcoal at $1 a pound. That's $15 or $20 for each firing, and that's the biggest expense. It is very helpful to have these grates like this, and these I picked up for no cost at a dump, but you know, sometimes you can look around and maybe find something. One way, or you can find other ways to raise your pottery off of the floor. You can do this on the ground, or you can do it in a fire ring like this. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I'm kind of sold, quite frankly. The only downside is that you have to wait all day in order to look at your pots. But you know, that's a small price to pay, and people who have regular kilns, they have to wait overnight anyway. So it's been a good day. I really appreciate just being here. So thank you for showing up. I appreciate that. Thank you for your comments, subscriptions, your thumbs up, or not. One way or another, I'm grateful. And so I wish you the very best. Wish you health, happiness, peace, and love. Take care. Bye-bye.